So what I want us to do is to start becoming more conscious, start choosing things in a better way for ourselves, and start creating a life that's going to gear us to really take advantage of the opportunities that are going to show up for us in the years to come.
This podcast is brought to you by The Integrated Human. We work up, down, inside out to plug yourself into your potential. If you want to see what we are up to and what's next, sign up to our newsletter or follow us on social media. If you like what we are doing, we really appreciate it if you can like our post on social media and YouTube and help us grow.
Welcome to the Big and Small podcast. I'm Jason Shields and I'm big.
And I'm Marit Gabrielsen and I'm small.
So today we're going to be talking a little bit about spiritual. What is it to be spiritual? What is it to be on a path of enlightenment, on a path of self-development, on a path of greater function, higher awareness, enlightenment in general, right? It's very interesting because of my traumatic / alternative childhood with a father who came home as a sniper from Vietnam and was self-medicating for mental issues after something like war, which is absolutely normal and natural. And Vietnam vets didn't really have any help. They didn't have psychological help. They didn't have psychiatrists. They didn't have people who followed them up. And that's one of the reasons why many of the homeless in America for a whole generation were Vietnam vets and still are. But they're, of course, getting older and dying now because of poor health and poor follow-up. He was self-medicating with alcohol and drugs and excitement to try to avoid dealing with the trauma that came with war. And when my mother saw that his behavior was affecting me, then he basically was excluded from her field. And she decided to take me in the middle of the night and leave. And we did that. When it was obvious that he knew he needed help, he could get help, and he chose not to. But, you know, you could discuss, of course, whether or not he was actually able to in his heart. But at least he was aware of the fact that there was help to find with Alcoholics Anonymous and all of that. But that started a journey. And that's so many journeys and progressions in self-development come from trauma. So people, trauma, try to avoid trauma. And if you traumatize somebody, you're bad. Well, of course, you try to live a beautiful life and try to be as supported and loving and present with people around you as you can. But as a psychologist here in Norway said one time, if 100% of the people around you like you, then you have a problem. Because that means you're living 100% based on trying to please everybody else. So in your process of being you, there will be people who misunderstand you. There will be people that you step on, unfortunately, not intentionally, because you want that donut and you bought it and they're standing in line behind you and it happened to be the thing that they needed that day. You never know what a person needs or how a person's thinking. You can only live your truth. So trauma is a thing that every organism on the planet will actually have. And wonderfully enough, since we were amoebas and we developed into human beings through evolution, through the development of the universe, we actually have had to go through cycles of trauma. So we are in our genes created to recover from trauma. Yes, you too, my friends. Recovery is you. You do it all the time. People think that they get cancer. No, actually, you get cancer every single day, and your immune system recovers, finds those cancer cells, and takes them out like some kind of gangster squad, right? The same way, your psychology has a clean way of getting rid of trauma. So my question to you is, why are there some traumas you don't get over? Why are there some things that you revisit all the time? Because a weirdly scientific and researched fact is that once you've been stressed, after 2 minutes, your body actually recovers chemically from that stress, which means you're no longer stressed.
Your body is no longer stressed.
Exactly. So if your mind then allows it to let go and you go on with your life, then guess what? That's gone. So think about the gazelle on the savannah and the lions running after it, right? It runs like heck, right? But like 2 minutes later, it's eating grass, enjoying it if it survived, which it almost always does, by the way. Predators don't always win, and it's off eating grass, having a good time, thinking about, finding a nice mate or enjoying the breeze on its face. So why is it that human beings very often have things from their childhood, have issues with their mom or dad, have issues with society, have issues with their body, have issues with themselves that they constantly revisit and re-stress themselves with?
You think we do that consciously or unconsciously?
I think both. And, we come always back to this concept and the concept of karma, right? And karma, what is karma? People
I find it very confusing, the whole word karma.
Yeah.
This is the word that, please explain it to me. Because for me, karma is, you hear about it in American movies from I was a child, and it's kind of that, if you pee in a bucket somewhere, if you pee in a bucket that someone's going to use, that's bad karma. So then that's going to come back and haunt you.
Right.
So then someone's going to make you feel bad. That's kind of what I've been taught karma is.
Yeah, the universe takes revenge on you, right?
Yeah, like if you bump your car, oh, that's bad karma. You did something. So what is karma?
Well, a lot of people, they understand karma as like some evil voodoo the universe throws at you, right?
Yeah, because you did something, so
Yeah.
therefore you went on a red light, so therefore you bump your car half an hour later.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right? And in reality, karma is the Sanskrit word for action. So it's just action. So when they say it's bad karma, they mean bad action, right? Doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to boomerang back.
Because that's the impression you get from the, if I can say, American TV.
Yeah, exactly.
Is that you do something and your universe throws that energy right back at you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that's one of those things, there's some interesting thoughts around it, but a lot of people who are kind of phony holy or pseudo yoga pants exponents, they kind of use that as, dude, you're going to get such bad karma for that. Or, universe is angry at me today. They do that whole karma thing to release responsibility for who they are, where they are, and what they're doing.
So it's a kind of not escapism, but you take yourself out of the equation, and I can't find a word. You
take your self responsibility.
Yeah, you're not responsible.
Yeah,
it's someone else's fault that I acted or I am the way I am.
Yeah, exactly.
It's always a reason.
There's a reason. Yeah.
So it's not me.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah.
That's part of that. And you actually hit on something really important when it comes to karma, because you think about the things that are in this moment they're not karma. They're not action. Action is movement. Karma is what's happening now, what you choose now, what you focus on now. So your karma actually is your own mental, emotional filter for understanding what's happening, what it is. So let's say that every time I see a red car, I freak out. That I freak out with red cars is my karma. Something happened so that I freak out with red cars.
So our karma can then be looked at as a trigger.
It's a trigger. Very good. It's a trigger, or it's a filter, or it's a mechanic inside us that makes us constantly behave in a specific way.
It's something that throws us into a patterns that we have.
Exactly. Every time I walk by the counter, I grab a cookie. That's karma. And will that karma have some action reaction? Of course, if I go by the counter 50 times a day and I pick up a cookie every time I go by, what's going to happen?
You're going to get diabetes.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Exactly. So in that way, there is a mechanical relationship there. And people often describe their karma as the mechanical relationship. I eat cookies, I get fat. But actually, the real karma, and this is very important that you guys understand this, The real karma is the thing in me that makes me pick up the cookie.
The decision making around
Yeah,
taking up that cookie.
exactly. So your circumstances are your circumstances, but can you change your circumstances? You can.
Big time.
You can move countries, and you can change your hair, and you can get a new car, and you can change.
But then we need to do the whole Jan, your son, your.
My father-in-law.
Thank you, father-in-law. He said he's a smart guy.
He's a very smart guy. The kindest man I've ever met.
He's an artist.
Yes.
In both words and pictures.
Yeah, that's right. And musical. He wrote an award-winning musical, and
he's such a kind, loving man. But he said something to you that you said to me that I find very interesting, and that is you have to remember you're always 50% of the equation. So if you move town and if you change cars, but then the same things happen, your karma is still happening to you. It's because you're still you. That's
right. That's exactly right. He was talking about that in relationship to, in that situation, changing spouses, for example. He said that, it's very often that my friends that I went to school with, they get divorced and they get a new wife, but they have the same problems they had with the old wife, because it's not the wives that are the problem; it's them, the way they are.
They don't understand that.
Exactly.
Like, all women are.
Yes, exactly.
Making me angry.
Right. That's right.
Or for women, all men are douchebags.
Yeah, or douchebags, exactly. Or you don't see the way you relate yourself to things. Like maybe I may not even be conscious of the fact that I pull a cookie out of the jar every time I walk by the counter, but that still has
an effect.
Exactly. And
you still have to deal with the consequences of picking up that cookie 50 times a day.
Exactly. So I choose the way I choose, consciously or unconsciously, and the mechanics of what happened are the mechanics of the universe. That's not necessarily karma. The real karma that you actually can work with is the internal stuff, your internal filter and your internal algorithm for choosing the things you choose. I don't understand why they always get angry with me. Well, if all of those people are getting angry with you, probably you're doing something that's not okay. Look at what you're doing. Take a step back, Jack. So the whole point is this whole holy business and this whole being beyond karma is to realize that you are actually doing it. Right?
I think that's I say that in every podcast. I think that's one of the most difficult things to have experienced or discovered with myself. Yeah. But I remember, and this is taking ownership of your own process and your own power, actually. So we do jiu-jitsu, which is a martial art where you get body locks and strangle
and controlling
the people. But yeah. And I had the potential to be very good at it, especially in nogi, which is in spats and kind of the slippery thing a normal person would work out in the gym.
Yeah.
And I went to the European nogi and had the potential of winning.
Yes.
And I didn't.
Yeah.
But I performed well. I got a bronze.
Yeah.
And we had a couple of days after, and everything was fine. We enjoyed. I had wine, relaxed. Like we said, we do Valhalla afterwards, because then we can really go out and just relax. Then we came home to Norway, and bam, back problem.
Yeah.
And severe back problem, like crying, can't walk, need help out of the car, need help I can't get down or up. It's totally locked. And you, as the kind man you are, you we're going to fix this. It's an inflammation in one of the discs, and we're going to fix this, and I get adjusted, and I get all the help, and I put ice package on it, but as stubborn as I am, I still go to work, and I have to get forced to get out of the office, but then it goes over.
At one point, I think I called Eirik and I said, okay, you have to come pick her up. And he literally had to come in and like pick you up and take you out.
Partially because I couldn't walk.
Yes.
And partially because of stubbornness.
That's right.
And then, of course, the swelling went down and everything was fine. And a year later, went back to the European Nogi. And between the two Europeans, I had competed.
Yes.
Multiple times.
Yes.
But not in a European Nogi championship.
Right.
But I had gotten medals, had developed, again, going to European Nogi has the potential of winning.
Yes.
Don't.
Very high potential of winning.
I don't win.
No.
I get a bronze.
Yes.
Again, very good.
Yes.
So again, we have a couple of days off, enjoy, get back to Norway. Bam, back problems.
Yes.
And I just thought, just like, why is this happening again? Again. I get so confused. Like, I can't understand why this is happening to me. Because I had a body for, like, I'm training right, I'm eating right. Again, had a couple of wine glasses, but I had wine between all of this.
Of course.
I was looking at all the facts of it. I'm like, why is this happening to me? I don't understand. Like, how can I get this severe back pain? And then the whole process started over again, and I get help from you and see if you guys adjust. And I'm like, but it's so painful, and I'm crying again. You have to call then my niece, because Eric was in England, and she has to come down, and you have to carry me out in the car to get me in the car so I can lay in the car-ish and get home. And we have that same whole process going again. And then I'm at home, and I'm feeling miserable, of course, and I don't understand, why is this happening to me? And then we discovered, and then we didn't discover, then we started the process of my spirituality and my spiritual journey.
Yes.
Because you said you have an inflammation in your back.
True.
But I'm going to be honest with you now, because we are honest with each other.
Yes.
Because we have a much deeper relationship than just chiropractor or patient.
Yes.
And we are also best friends, and you're my coach.
Yeah.
So it's also to make me function better.
Yes.
And I don't have time. I'd look at myself to not have time. That's one of the things that one of my patterns. I'm always in a rush because I always have to progress faster. I said, I'm going to be honest with you. You have an inflammation, but it's not as bad as what you think it is. And I got super upset. I was like, you telling me I can't walk. Like, fuck, douchebag. Like, telling me that this is what I'm feeling is not, that this pain is not real. That yes, the pain is real, but you're making it real. Oh.
Yeah.
And deep, I just knew you were right, and that was painful. And I remember I had posted on social media. It's a beautiful picture that Maggie Left, our beloved photographer, took from the Rome Open and Rome no-gi championship. I had my hand raised and I'm winning because I won gold in the gi but got bronze in the no-gi.
Yeah.
And then you said that I posted this picture and like 1 week you can fight on the mat and next week you're freaking crippled. And why did you post that on social media? Because what happened was that, of course, I got a lot of feedback on that picture.
Yeah,
oh my God, are you good? Are you injured?
Yeah.
Good world champ. And so on and so forth. So you kind of just get feeded. Like the pain you're feeling and thinking.
It gets verified.
It's verified. And so then, of course, I'm justified for feeling the way I'm feeling. And all these people think that I'm this good and this magnificent person. And
though you suffer.
But see, I'm suffering now and how much pain I am. But I will get through this.
Yes.
And I will go be again on the mat. And I will be victorious.
Yes.
And then you said what you said. I'm like, maybe I'm feeling this. And it's happened 2 times in a row in the same competition with the same pressure. Because again, it was a no-gi championship.
Yes, and same result.
And this is where I discovered body emotions. And how powerful I am with emotions.
Yes.
The first hint that I can make myself more sick than I am.
Yeah.
And I've had been many times. And that was a pattern I had. Because when the pressure was high and expectation was high and I didn't succeed.
Yeah.
Then I got injured.
Yes, exactly.
And I got severely injured. Like the pain I had, it wasn't that, let's play around with this. I didn't succeed, so therefore I need to justify. So if I have a weakness in my back, meaning that it was there all the time because it happened, of course, it blows out right after competition, then I can justify for not winning, and I can switch the focus from the me failing to me being injured and suffering and going to be a champ to stick through and get out of this and be stronger than ever.
Exactly. And get lots of love and attention instead of people going, oh, you didn't win? Weren't you supposed to win?
But that was so unconscious.
Yeah, you see what you just did there, Marit, is so high level. It's so high level to be able to reflect on ourselves and reflect on our subconscious process. At that point, it was not conscious.
And I think that's that would be karma, right?
Yeah,
that's what we're talking
exactly
about.
Right. Yes, exactly.
And I just have to say, after I discovered that,
Yeah.
and it was a brutal comment. I remember it. I can see it.
I felt wicked.
I know you did, but that's what we're saying. With
you're gonna hurt yourself. And
be honest. And you saw that if I can, because I was so bad, like I was screaming, like I got adjusted, and I was screaming.
Yeah.
And I had to get tricked because I was guarding my whole body was so angry.
Yeah.
I had so much anger and suffering in the body that it just shut down. Yeah, and I kept feeding it with posting on social media and telling everyone how bad I was feeling.
Exactly.
So after that, I stopped actually telling people how bad I was feeling.
Exactly.
And that is important. It's not denying the feeling.
No.
But stop getting it fed, because I knew that it will not help me.
No.
To post it out there.
No, there's no value in sharing that.
I will tell if it's
other than
if me and some friends are gonna bungee jump.
Yeah.
And then I will say I will not bungee jump because my back is not good.
Exactly.
I don't feel right in my back right now. I don't think bungee jumping is the right thing for me.
Right.
But I won't kind of bring it up if it's not necessary to the situation.
Yes, exactly.
Because I know about it, but I don't have to tell everyone around me.
Yeah.
About it.
Yeah. Well, and if you choose to do that, there has to be a reason why you're doing that. And that's the thing. You have to ask yourself sometimes, why am I doing this? What is it? What am I actually gaining? I'm gaining something. Otherwise, I wouldn't do it. It cost me energy to post that. Why would I do it?
But I would never have admitted that sitting in the couch, laying on the couch, having so much pain that I was having, saying that it was anything beneficial in it.
Exactly. That's the thing. And here's a little bit of clarification, guys. This is very important. Number one, the back issue was real. She was then injured. She did get injured after the competition, and then the back go into crisis with inflammation and all this. So that wasn't an imaginary injury. It was 100%. Do you know how I got that injury? Tell me.
I was lifting.
Exactly.
When I got home, I was starting to lift.
Yep.
And I had pain when I was lifting.
Yes.
And I continued to lift.
Exactly. You pushed into it. Exactly.
I refused to listen to the body because the body was saying, you've been competing, which is a lot of adrenaline.
Oh, and you get beat up.
You get beat up.
I mean, you are literally fighting, and like in your case, you were fighting several other people. You first went through a gi competition, which is like 4 fights, and then you went through the no gi, which is another 3 or 4 fights to get to bronze. So it was insane.
So you are beaten up, and then you drink for 4 days, and eat pasta and bread.
You eat everything that's inflammatory, all the desserts, because you're so strict on your diet to make weight. You're so conscious about your training. You don't drink alcohol, you don't eat anything bad, you're completely clean, and then you have 2 or 3 days where you're just going to you know what, I'm going to have a glass of wine, I'm going to have dessert twice a day, and I'm just going to eat what I want for 2 or 3 days before you come back, right?
Yeah, and you sleep bad and you're just going to do it.
Yeah.
And then you get home and you go lifting and you feel like my back is not recovered, your body is not recovered. And you go, well, I haven't lifted in 2 months, but let's start with the same weight as I did before. And although the back doesn't feel as good, let's just push through it.
Exactly. You see, and there you have this compensation and counter compensation and the mechanism. So
And therefore, you
exactly.
get an information in your disc.
That's right.
But then all the emotional pressure and
makes you make the decision, and you have an inflammatory state in the body, and. So you see that whole mechanic that comes from the karma, the internal mechanism of having so much expectation, having so many people expecting
from yourself.
Yeah,
that's the thing. That's the worst, because
and wanting to show up for other people, like I'm going to prove to my friends that their support is worth something, and I'm going to make it happen.
And then you have sacrificed time with your friends, time with your family. Your family has suffered because they had to not suffer, but at least take part of the whole process, because they had to watch your dog and stick with you with your moodiness when you're losing weight, and it's so much.
Oh yeah, my wife.
So you get home and you didn't win.
Yeah.
And was it worth it? And then you have to you feel ashamed, and you feel.
Yeah, you let people down.
And you feel like a loser. You should win. Like
exactly.
You know you're good enough, but you couldn't perform, and you got caught.
You don't feel lovable. Therefore, you post on social media about your injury, so that you can fill that hole with love. You see the mechanics, right?
And that feeds the emotional wolf in you.
Exactly.
Which then feeds the body.
Yes, exactly.
Then makes that inflammation blow up to an enormous size.
Absolutely. And that's the thing, that if you are a powerful person, which you are, you have a very clear, very strong mind. You have an intense emotional life with a full spectrum of emotion. And you have a body that is responding, and it's responding to the environment and your thoughts, but it's also responding to your mental, emotional states. So body emotions is when our emotions are leaking into our body and not being channeled for action, but they're leaking, they're just flowing over into our body. And most people who have inflammatory states like MS and all this, they have some kind of emotional state that's related to those attacks.
We have to make that okay.
Yeah.
Because it's so.
Absolutely.
Oh my.
It's like,
Zen out. Okay.
Yeah.
It's so, what's the right word? Stigmatized?
Big stigma. Yep.
To have emotional stuff.
Oh man, mental, emotional issues.
No, mental is more allowed to have than emotional.
Yeah,
I agree. Mental because having a psychologist is, thank God, getting more okay to have. Having someone to talk to is getting more okay. It's becoming. But if you have emotional issues, you're weak. You don't have emotional issues.
Right.
Oof.
Oof. Right.
So I think we have to. So yes, because of course it affects the body, and like I said, all these inflammatory diseases you have.
Yeah. Inflammatory diseases very often come from those unprocessed emotional.
And when you have to make that states. One of the, it has to be lifted up.
Yeah, exactly. It's like the point is society has to understand that that's part of our evolution. People who are very powerful in an emotional way, that can channel their emotions, like Michael Jordan, he would look for ways to feel disrespected so that he would turn on his superpower and destroy people. He even made up situations in his head. If you watch that documentary about him, he made up situations in his head where he got disrespected by the guy who was going to cover him on the court. And later on, it showed that guy wasn't even the restaurant that Michael Jordan described as him being disrespected in, right? So the point is that however you chain your emotions to become a great performer, great. But if you can't chain them into action and use them, they end up leaking over into your body, and you will get illnesses. And that's why it's so important for us to bring this up, and so important for people to learn how to manage their own emotions, manage their mind, and manage their body. And this is the process, guys. Your evolutionary process has to do with becoming aware of the fact that you are not your thoughts, because you can have all kinds of crazy thoughts and sometimes you don't have any thoughts. So when you don't have any thoughts, do you disappear?
No.
No. And sometimes you're happy, sometimes you're sad, sometimes you're high, sometimes you're low, sometimes you have lots of emotion, and sometimes you have no emotions. Does that mean you disappear?
No.
No, you're still there. So you're not your emotions, obviously. And sometimes you feel your body and sometimes you don't. Are you there? Yes, you're still here, and you're not your body either. Your body changes your whole life. You go from infant to old person. You go from being a great performer to being crippled when you're older, usually. It's the whole point is that your body's not you either. I asked my father-in-law, he's in his 80s now. Man, the guy inside, he's still 14, 16 years old. I mean, he's super cool, but he's young in his mind. His body's not him. It's aged beyond him. So the point is that your spiritual process is to know you're not your thoughts, you're not your emotions, and you're not your body. So what are you? That's the question. And you going through the process of figuring that out is you resolving and dissolving your karma. So all of the things that you think you have to do, the things you have to be, the mechanics that you have to serve in your life, that
The defensive things you need to put up
The-
to protect your
exactly.
role and identity and who you are.
100%. Yep. Preach it. Preach it. Preach it,
Hallelujah.
Marit. Hallelujah. That's it. The Tiny's preaching from on high. So exactly all of the things we feel that we have to be and do and defend and not do and not defend, all of those things are the mechanics that you have to resolve and dissolve. That's working through your karma. So one of the greatest texts on personal evolution, personal development, is the Bhagavad Gita, actually. And I'm not a Hindu, but the lessons in there are absolutely amazing. Basically, Krishna is on a battlefield with Arjuna, and he's counseling Arjuna on how to wage war. What's special about this war is that it's actually such that the politics of the time put most of his family on the other side of the field. And not only that, but his teachers, his masters, his great companions. I mean, these guys are just insane. And the army on the other side is like 10 times larger than his. So how do you overcome your mental emotional issues? Number one, they outnumber you. Number two, they're your mentors and family. So, but you're obligated. You must fight this war and you must win. So, how do you deal with your role in this situation? Right? And the conversation there, and I would definitely recommend that everybody get themselves a copy of this book, get the translations, get people's commentary on it, and read it because it's fascinating. It is basically performance psychology. Everybody's like, "Oh, I want a performance coach." Read the Bhagavad Gita and then come back to me later, and we'll talk about it, right? Because he basically coaches Arjuna into understanding he's not his mind, he's not his thoughts, he's not his emotions, he's not his body. All he is performing through this vessel. He is pure consciousness, pure awareness, and all of the relationship that he had with his master, for example, had to go out the door because he's going to shoot this guy with an arrow, right? I mean, you're just going to have to do the job. So how can you be free from that? You have to realize that you're not your role as a student anymore in that situation when you're waging war and your master's on the other side of the field. In this moment, you have to be perfect and 100% total and completely committed to what you're doing. So does that sound like a good state to be in when you're fighting?
Oh, big time.
Exactly.
Or every day.
That's it.
Not that you need to fight every day, but the total presence.
Exactly. And Krishna was talking about don't be trapped in the three gunas. And there's like, the three gunas, what the heck is that? It is the observer, the process of observing and the observed. It is the doer, the process of doing and what is being done. It is the three basic elemental things of creation. So once you let everything go and realize that you're pure awareness, which is the peak of an enlightened state, then you are able to create the things that you want and do the things that you want to do perfectly and easily. Doesn't mean there's not an evolutionary process with them like learning, but you're free to do those things. You're not bound by your roles, your identity, or your ego, which we're going to come back to in another podcast. So where do you identify? I meditated for over 25 years. People think, oh yeah, I meditate too. Yeah, I meditated 4+ hours a day. I did breathing exercises, pranayama, for a half hour a day. I did yoga, for hatha yoga, basically the yoga postures, for an hour a day. And then I went to school on top of it for over 25 years. I have done that to the max. And I remember after like 6-7 years of meditation, I met this guy and he'd been meditating for over 50 years. And I said, so I just a question, why do you meditate? Oh, because I want to get enlightened. And I'm like, oh, really? What's enlightenment? What do you mean? Well, how do you know when you're there? Well, you just know. Nah, it's kind of like driving around randomly in a car, and then you're just going to know when you've arrived, and you don't know where you're going. I think you need to get yourself a little bit of a definition of where you want to go, what you want, right? And I will tell you, my friends, the best definition for enlightenment is to understand that you're pure awareness. That is it. Once you have that, all of the other things come. All of the other things become obvious. But where you put your attention in your pain body, your ego, your roles, what you identify with, those are the things that keep you from the truth about yourself and actually often get in the way. So did you fail in the European no-gi championships because you didn't have enough technique?
Oh, no.
Did you fail because you didn't do enough reps?
I did all the reps.
You did all the reps. Did you fail because you didn't have the timing or the day?
No.
No. So where was this thing that kept you from?
I was in me.
Exactly.
I have patterns of freezing, patterns of stopping, patterns of self-doubt.
Yeah.
Everything.
Exactly. Right.
And
as does everybody.
of course.
Right.
And it just accumulated, and then the downfall was so emotionally heavy that I had issues dealing with it, and I needed a break to actually deal with it. Hence, inflammation. I needed to take a break.
Exactly.
And after the fascinating thing about it though is that after we looked at that, and I started, because you have to understand, you said it, and I didn't, because sometimes people say it and you can't hear it, and then someone else say it, and you think, that's smart.
Yeah.
So you said it, I haven't heard it, and then Steve said it. Life is pain, so choose no matter what, so choose your pain.
Yeah.
Because laying on that couch, screaming, not being able to walk, because your lower back is so locked up. It's the pain is out of this world.
Yeah.
Looking at the karma patterns also was painful.
Yes.
But I haven't had severe back pain since.
No, I mean you've never had an issue like this again. You were able to fix it, and that's
and haven't had any body issues after that. I have had body emotions.
Yes.
But understanding that I'm not my thoughts, I'm not my emotions, not my body.
Right.
And I'm working like the last year. Like people that listen to the podcast and they haven't then listened to previous episodes know that we've been doing a lot of emotional work this last year, which has given me a lot of body emotions.
Yes.
But since I know that I'm having shoulder pain or lower back pain or knee pain or whatever pain,
yes,
now it's because I'm working on emotional stuff.
Yes.
And it's leaking out.
It leaks out, yeah.
Because again, you look at the facts, like we haven't been training much because training in Norway has been shut down for jiu-jitsu.
Yes.
And I have not had any energy to lift. So the last half year, at least the amount of training has been
It's been reduced. I would
very
say
reduced to what we're used to. Like it's been from 20 hours a week to maybe an hour of some light lifting, and then an hour of walk. Like it's been severely reduced because I haven't had the energy.
Yeah. So I would say from 20 hours a week, probably down to 7.
Oh, even less.
10.
No, even less on the worst.
Yeah.
On the worst, you had to drag me out to walk for an hour.
Yeah, true.
So it was severely reduced.
Yeah.
And then I get adjusted, so I know that my spine and everything is as good as it can get.
Yes.
So the pain I'm having is not a mechanical issue.
It's not just damage.
No, it's not that I've been training and I've been colliding with 100-kilo people and therefore I feel pain. It is, and I can also feel like during the day that when I'm having one certain emotion, that type of pain increased it in that part of the body.
Yes.
So being aware that my emotion can actually affect my body helped me through the process, and that made me able to go to work having severe depression, anxiety, panic, and anger.
Yeah, and you were
without a
amazing.
problem, because I understood that, okay, I'm not injured.
Yes.
My emotions are, like we say, it's just leaking a little bit.
It's leaking, exactly. And you didn't miss any work and haven't since you fixed this issue.
Since we changed that pattern.
Exactly. Since amazing. And then you also have been the only person I've ever worked with who consistently, actually, after year, gets better in the job. That you constantly are improving your efficiency and your function and making things better, which is amazing. Most people stop improving in their job and in their workplace after about a year. And then after 2 years, their job is generally degenerated to what they have to do. And they basically spend their energy trying to figure out how to do even less, where you figure out how to do things more efficiently and to cover more bases and become more important in the workplace. No, I
can't leave from here because
we would die.
Oh
we would die. Yeah, now you have the ultimate power, right? And that's
the secret, my friends.
Exactly, that's actually true.
It was actually a guy that said it to me.
Yeah,
it was not my intention. Yeah, but it's another guy before
really?
Friend. Before I met you.
Okay.
He said.
Did you ever meet anybody before me?
Sorry, I did.
I'm so old. But
he said, if you want to have what you think you feel you deserve, what you want. You do more than what you think you need to, that is expected.
Yes, that's
you
true.
Feel like, and you say it in a very beautiful way. You say, fill up your spot.
Yeah, you have to fill up your present place. Fill your place up. Exactly.
And then more will come.
That's it. Exactly.
But the changing that pattern changed everything. And again, it wasn't pain-free to change the pattern because laying on the couch, you have to imagine. So if you're at home listening to this, imagine you have the worst back pain can imagine. You can't even move. You think you need to amputate your legs. Like you're screaming. It's so painful.
Yeah. And
someone is telling you that, yes, you have an information, but it's, to be honest, you're making it, you are actually feeding the pain.
Yeah. Exactly, you're feeding it.
So you have the power to make this disappear faster.
Exactly.
Or make it take longer.
Exactly.
Because you say this to Eirik, that's a new chiropractor, to help him understand and not take all of the pain and suffering that a patient has to him. Because you control 1/3 of the treatment.
Yeah.
You can help their function. You can help them function more when they get out of the office than they did when they came in.
Yes.
But you cannot control their body, what their body will do, and you cannot control what they will do.
Exactly.
So you cannot control them lifting up a kid.
Yeah.
Or turning very fast. Or having to wash the windows.
Yeah. That happens so much. people sabotage themselves
You
because they're not
you,
ready to get well, you know.
or they don't
Or they
think
don't,
about it
yeah,
because I was feeling so good, so therefore I did.
Exactly.
And then it was too early for the
Yeah.
body, and
Yeah.
you can't control what the body is ready for.
Right.
So it didn't help that you guys. Well, of course, it helped,
Yeah.
but my body, because of my emotions,
Yes.
refused to get well. It was sabotaging the treatment.
Yes, it was creating more and more and more inflammation.
Because
all
it
the
was
time, right?
having to take a rest because it had to deal with the
Exactly.
emotional trauma
Exactly.
from that event.
That's it. You had to digest your emotional trauma, and your emotional processing took time, and the back pain in a way gave you time to do that.
Yeah.
Right. And
suffer and
yeah.
feel sorry for myself.
And this is an interesting fact. You know, the thing that really triggered me that now I have to tell you. I have to tell you was a very interesting incident, because you're basically being, helped in by Eidik, your husband. You know, he was kind of pulling you out of the car and supporting you on the way in. You were limping in. And I'm very lucky in my practice. I treat so many Olympic champions and gold medalists and world record holders. It's crazy. And Marit is among those great athletes. And as she was moving into the treatment room, she met a woman who basically is the same size as Marit and had the world record in bench press. I mean, this is a woman who has had literally a world record. And she said, "Oh, it's you, Marit. I'm so proud to be from the same town as you. You're so amazing. You got a gold medal in Rome, and oh my God." And you just didn't take the moment to appreciate the fact that a world record holder is worshiping you for being the amazing athlete that you are. You missed the moment where this person's like, you have to understand that being a champion is very lonely. People are like, oh, I want to be unique and I want to be a champion. Being unique is very lonely. And when a champion meets another champion, like she was meeting you, she's just like, oh my God, a lioness that understands me. And I love you for being you, and thank you for being amazing. And you couldn't meet her in that moment because you were so
I was drowning
involved in your physical pain, your emotional pain. And I'm like, you know what? That there, she deserves. Marit deserved to have that moment with this person. And I was like, okay, that's it. Now this shit is stealing from my friend.
That karma pattern.
Exactly. This karma pattern. Yeah, exactly. This karmic relation shit. I was like, that has to be fixed. And that's why I just said, okay, now I have to do it. Because confronting people is never a good thing. Making people aware in a kind way is. But sometimes when it's desperate, it's like now you're missing things that are so important for your life. They're so important for who you are. They're so important for your process that you have to get this now.
You're lacking. Your life will be less if you don't fix this now.
Yes. And then bam, you just have to give it. And I did. And of course, it's always a risk. But the thing is that Marit is powerful. Marit is brave. Marit is strong. And she, as we talked about in the beginning, is born to recover. So, just like you.
Wow.
Yes.
That's the whole secret with this. You have this power yourself.
Yes, you do. The superpower. You can
find the patterns.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And the whole thing is that when we take the blame and the shame out of the game, guess what? We can just look at it and go, oh, that's what that is.
And that blame and the shame,
yes,
you are putting on yourself. No one else is putting
Nobody.
on you. And that's the bitch.
It is a bitch, right?
Because you would think that, well, it's because of society is saying this and my friend thinks and my family thinks. No, you think.
Yeah, that's it.
And if you didn't think that, you could fix it.
Exactly. That's it.
Because you would fix it.
Yeah.
Because you wouldn't care if other one thought that that's weak or that's brave or that's whatever.
Yeah.
Because you're doing you and you process.
Yeah.
You don't feel ashamed about it. You just have to change it so that stop taking up that cookie 50 times a day.
Yeah. Because you're getting diabetes, son. Right? It's like, come on. Put
Stop.
that cookie down.
Stop throwing yourself in front of the bus every time someone is having to need help with something.
Exactly. That's right. That's
Because
right.
are you actually tired? You want it, but you don't want it. But you're the person that always says yes.
Exactly.
But it's wrecking you and your health now. So you can't work. You can't be with your kids because you're always saying, yes, I can fix that.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. You know, psychologically, one of the most powerful traits we have is the devotion that we have to who we see ourselves to be. Ooh. And that is the power.
Stop the podcast,
Yes.
go back 15 seconds and listen to that once. You can do that on Spotify.
That's right. So get on Spotify, guys.
And go back and listen to just that sentence.
Exactly. And I'm not even going to repeat it because Mara said go back. All right. But we're so devoted that we will do weird things in order to prove to the world that we are who we say we are. We are who we think we are. And guess what? That's the power of karma. That devotion to that mechanic, that identity, that decision, that mechanic thing, the choices you make and your filters and all that stuff that you call a personality, which we call the junkyard of the soul. That is karma.
And you have some karma, I would guess then you have some karma patterns that are beneficial for you.
Oh.
Like, can't figure anything out right now.
Yeah, but like maybe a karmic, a good karma is that every time you're asked if you want a second glass of wine, you say no.
That could be a good one.
Yeah, but the thing is that one time that you should have had 3, and you're like, "Whoa, is that even a thing?" Yeah, but sometimes in order to connect, a glass of wine is the method with which you connect, right? So in that situation, it's not correct. And that's why dissolving and resolving your karma is all about your evolution. As soon as you release yourself, exactly, when you free yourself, then you're totally ready to perform at your highest level. And you're also ready to express your ultimate power. You're ready to chain your open and clear mind with your total and powerful heart and emotional body, ready to chain that into a body that will respond and get your dreams, make it happen, manifest.
And that's a perfect end, I think.
Yeah, I do.
But I have to say before we round this up is that we have to thank everyone that's listening to this podcast.
Oh, yeah.
Because we're getting so many text messages,
Yes.
or DMs, I think it's called now.
Yeah.
And we now have a listener in Kuwait.
Yeah, that's right. We're all over the world now. I think we need Antarctica now, don't we?
I need Australia.
Australia. Yo, get your friends to listen to us in Australia, all right?
But it's so rewarding and it's so motivating. And thank you everyone that actually takes the time and sends us a message.
Yes.
And that are listening to our podcast and
We
are
really
spreading it
appreciate
with their friends and family. And we really appreciate it.
We do. And it's lovely hearing from you. So thank you so much.
Thank you for taking the time to contact us.
Yes. And remember, you matter. Unless you multiply yourself by the speed of light squared. And then your energy. But if you can't be energy, matter.
Thank you for listening to our podcast. We hope you felt we added something to your day and hopefully your life. If you want to learn more, subscribe to our newsletter and find us at integrated-human.com. That is integrated-human.com. Integrated Human on YouTube and other social media platforms. Have a great day and thank you again for listening. Love, light, and upgrade from us at the Integrated Human team.